The first time that they violated the covenant with fasad, وَقَضَيْنَا إِلَى بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ فِي الْكِتَابِ لَتُفْسِدُنَّ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَّتَيْنِ وَتَعْلُنَّ عُلُوًّا كَبِيرًا. The first time they committed fasad, he expelled them and then banned them from returning. For 100 years they were in Babylon. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded to it by sending an army from Babylon. An army that worshipped the sun and the moon and the stars and idols. So these ibad are sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they destroy the state of Israel, and they destroy the masjid, and they take Banu Israel into slavery in Babylon. And so now they're weeping by the rivers of Babylon.
For the first time in the history of the Jewish empire, destroyed the Haykal of Sulaiman, the original Haykal, the actual temple that Sulaiman had built. And this was considered to be one of the wonders of the world. Why? Structure the likes of which man had never seen. It was massive and beautiful. It was a feat of architecture. It was considered to be one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. So the Haykal of Sulaiman was an amazing structure that stood solid for 400 or 500 years, untouched. And then Allah Azza wa Jal will that the first of the destructions occur.
And then he allowed them to return. And then the second period of fasad. And then he punished them again and he expelled them.
This as well was about to be destroyed in a few decades. And this led to a second diaspora, a second time that the Yahud fled in many different areas.
And having expelled them this time, he left the door open for them. Despite all your wickedness, it is still possible. عسى ربكم أن يرحمكم. It is still possible for you to be forgiven and have mercy. There's only one door. This is the door, a man named Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you shut that door, then تلك أمة قد خلت. You finish. Divine punishment will now begin. And if you are taken for a ride and brought back to the Holy Land, return with your fasad, then guess what I'll do with you? وَإِنْ عُدْتُمْ عُدْنَا. If you return with your fasad, your wickedness, your oppression, I will return with my punishment. The first time was an army that punished them. The second time was an army that punished them. The third time it will be an army.
Of the greatest power in the world, the desolate one. Desolate because his greatness was taken from him and he was cast down. But he has risen, Mark, in me.
He's come out of nowhere and we don't know who he is.
What do we know about him?
He's leading desperate people.
So this is a cult?
We don't know who he's associated with. He could be creating an army. Or he could be leading them to their death.
What are you doing in Syria? Delivering a message. A message for whom? My father. And who is your father?
He didn't just click his heels and end up here. He clearly had help. You get around Syria, Israel, Texas.
It's the nature of my work.
And what is that work?
God's work.
Who do you think he is?
You didn't see what I saw.
Movement spread.
I'm going to find out everything about you.
It's bigger than what you can imagine. What are you doing in Syria? Delivering a message. A message for whom? My father. And who is your father?
As usual, if you don't, let me introduce myself. It is I who worship God for thousands of years. I was the greatest of all slaves. My beauty lifted the hearts of the crowds. My wish was granted. It was a dream come true. I was rewarded by my Creator to be amongst the finest angels, the most loved. I was adoring all my eminence until your father, Adam, was created. I couldn't believe that I, the greatest of all, had to prostrate to an insignificant human made from clay. Difficult it was. I refused. I said no to the Almighty. I worship. It is I who will be victorious. It is I who will last.
The Muslims are in the siege. Men will tie their wives, and the night comes back, they see in Isa is amidst them. Isa, the son of Mary, will descend. His hand will be on the wings of two angels. Next to the white minaret at the eastern side of Damascus. And the Prophet says,
Imam al-Mahdi, alayhi salam, when Imam al-Mahdi said, here he is the Messiah, in the masjid, in Damascus. That this is the sign of all signs, the return of the Son of Mary, Nabi Isa alayhi salam, and that his return is the most important event now remaining to occur in history. Everything else fades away in comparison with this, including is the mother of all events which yet remains to occur in history.
and the people already open the doors. And from afar, the Dajjal sees Isa alayhi salam. The false Messiah sees the real Messiah. The hadith says he starts to melt like salt and water. And he runs, and Isa alayhi salam chases him. So he catches him in the Bab al-Lud. And one narration with a lance and another one with a sword. Isa alayhi salam will strike and show the blood of the Dajjal in his sword. And the hadith says, had he were not to strike, the man would have melted to death.
وإن عدتم عدنا وإن عدتم عدنا. If you return with your fasad, we will return with our punishment. They return with their fasad. It's happening now before your eyes. وإن عدتم عدنا وإن عدتم عدنا. If you return with your fasad, we will return with our punishment. They return with their fasad. It's happening now before your eyes. And so Allah returns with His punishment. وَإِنْ عُدْتُمْ عُدْنَا. It is at this time that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, the hadith in Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, لَتُقَاتِلُنَّ الْيَهُودِ لَتُقَاتِلُنَّ الْيَهُودِ. Sahih Muslim, لَتُقَاتِلُنَّ الْيَهُودِ. Islam, the hadith in لَتُقَاتِلُنَّ الْيَهُودِ لَتُقَاتِلُنَّ الْيَهُودِ لَتُقَاتِلُنَّ الْيَهُودِ لَتُقَاتِلُنَّ الْيَهُودِ. That's clear. Look at what they're doing today. وَلَتَقْتُلُنَّهُمْ. These are his words. حَتَّى يَقُولُ الْحَجَرُ. حَتَّى يَقُولُ الْحَجَرُ. At that time even the stones will speak. يَا مسلم هذا يهودي ورائي فتعال فاقتل. وإن عدتم عدنا وإن عدتم عدنا. If you return, Allah returns with His punishment. وَإِنْ عُدْتُمْ عُدْنَا. It is at this time that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, the hadith in Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, لَتُقَاتِلُنَّ الْيَهُودِ لَتُقَاتِلُنَّ الْيَهُودِ. That's clear. Look at what they're doing today. وَلَتَقْتُلُنَّهُمْ. These are His words. حتى يقول الحجر. حتى يقول الحجر. At that time even the stones will speak. يا مسلم هذا يهودي ورائي فتعال فاقتل. يا مسلم هذا يهودي ورائي فتعال فاقتل. Not those who are waging war, those who are engaged in a mountain of wickedness and oppression and godlessness unprecedented in history. And so